So how do you become a successful luxury second or third home market agent? To help you guys do that, that really is the question we want to unpack today with my guests, Kurt and Tim Harland from Berkshire Hathaway Jackson Hole Properties. Fellas, thank you for meeting me in my home. Oh, wait, I'm in your hometown in Jackson Hole. What's up, guys?
Things are good. I just keep looking out to the view you have here today.
Yes.
And it is an amazing day out here today. We had a great day yesterday. Very thankful.
Yes, we
for
did.
that.
Yes, we did. Well, thank you guys.
Thankful for that.
So for the people that are listening on audio only, we are in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, their hometown, where Kurt owns Berkshire Hathaway Jackson Hole Properties. Tim, you joined in 2015.
2015, yeah.
So what I want to really focus on today, guys, is a lot of people are listening to this. And of course, everybody wants to sell a higher end price point,
yes.
Right? I don't care if you're in the wonderful gal that I interviewed this morning, who's in Iowa, her average sales price is like $225. For her, if she could sell $500,000 and $600,000 and $700,000 houses, that's the high end. That's luxury.
Right.
Everybody wants to be in that game. So I want to focus today on not only the second home market, what you have to do, right? Starting a brothers business together and the fun dynamics of that, as I've certainly witnessed on the golf course yesterday. No one got tackled, but I think they were close. But also, how do you make it all work? And you're new to coaching, right? So
yes,
starting September of last year,
right?
And what are some of the lessons you're learning, and what are your coach, working with you guys on? So we want to unpack all of that.
That's a lot of unpacking to do.
So for context, for the person listening right now, last year they did 16 transactions. And before you say, wow, 16 transactions, well, their average sales price is $3 million. And really, safe to say you were really just beginning to accelerate in.
Yes.
And you got your hands on a lot of stuff. And I'm going to unpack all of that in a minute. But year to date, they are already at 17 transactions, 12 closed, $34 million. And for context, for the listeners, there's 580 licensed agents here in the Valley, and they'll do 600 single-family residence transactions on an annual basis. Right. So is that one per agent?
One per agent. So you better choose wisely.
Right. You better make sure it's a big one, right?
It's a good deal.
But that reminds me of a lot of luxury marketplaces that we work in. So, fellas, I'm going to give them context, and we're diving right in. So Kurt, I wrote down home builder turned referral agent because a buddy said, you might want to start getting some commissions on these things. Turned broker owner, but you're also an insane ski instructor.
Well, I don't think insane's the right word, Tom. I think I'm a very valuable resource on the mountain to guide people, not unlike real estate.
I was thinking maybe just because I know you and you're kind of insane. So maybe that's just how the word got popped in there. And then Timmy, your brother, athlete turned alcohol sales and distribution,
right?
But also a firefighter of 20 years. Thank you so much for all your service.
Absolutely.
And a realtor since 2015. So let's just talk about, Kurt, give him a little of your backstory. Why did you go into real estate? And then why did you ultimately start a brokerage? And then we'll bring your brother in to figure the whole thing out. And then we'll get into all the luxury stuff.
This is the short version of a very long story. Yeah. So as a ski instructor here in Jackson Hole, I met some clients out of New York, great friends. They were upgrading from a small townhouse to a larger home here on the West Bank. And he basically told me to run the numbers as a referral agent. So I did. I became a referral agent for a short period of time, and then went out and started working for a brokerage on my own. And
sure.
I did it part-time. I was a home builder for 20 plus years. That has lent itself very well into real estate, especially in this market where there's a lot of remodeling, scraping, rebuilding, things like that. Still teach skiing on a limited basis. I love sharing this environment, the mountain environment, the Jackson Hole community with people that have been here for 20 years or first timers. It's a great community to be involved with.
Love it. So, and then why did you buy the brokerage? Because that seems like, home builder, I understand, he owns his own business, you're entrepreneurial. Yeah. And then you buy a real estate brokerage. And you know what they say about real estate brokerages? How do you make a small fortune in real estate? You start with a big one and you buy a real estate office.
Sounds like horses.
I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding. It is like horses.
It's like horses.
Also, yes.
It's like owning a ski resort.
It's like owning a ski resort. Well, maybe we all own a ski resort one day. So why did you buy the brokerage?
Well, I had been working with a small independent brokerage, and the two owners offered me an ownership position. The timing was really good on it. I had just obliterated my knee in a skiing accident. Getting up and down scaffolding and hanging off 30 feet, screwing on fascia wasn't for me anymore.
Yeah.
I had
in the middle of winter.
Two small kids. My youngest had just turned 1. And the timing was just right. And I really enjoyed real estate. I was at a point where I was ready to transition out of construction, move more full-time into real estate. And one of the owners offered me an ownership stake, and it was serendipity is what it was. I was really, really fortunate.
Yeah, that's great. And then Timmy, how about yourself? I mean, I mentioned alcohol sales and, to go from alcohol to real estate, some would argue you stay with alcohol in real estate.
They go bed and boudoirs, boudoirs and booze right there. No, I actually, after college, I went down to the Bay Area and LA and was doing litigation consulting and disputes resolution for client and counsel, right? So
that could be slightly helpful in negotiations in real estate.
Was
Hello.
a big thing, right? And then came out to Jackson after a 2-month motorcycle trip with my girlfriend on the back. And one night we stayed in a hotel. The rest we traveled through the coast and the Banff, Jasper, Lake Louise, and came down to Jackson sight unseen, and immediately my roots just planted here. And but then worked for a brewery where for almost 20 years doing sales and marketing, and then worked with a couple distilleries. And and then the big thing was when Kurt came out was we were building our house and we were fortunate enough to get a little bit of land. And we got into a bit of a pickle with our contractors. One, they split, and then I had one that left and moved back to Rhode Island. So we were left in the lurch.
Not so much a pickle as abandonment.
Yeah. And so I called Big Brother Kurt up and said, man, I'm really hurting. I need a lot of help. And 2 weeks he came out and we started finishing off the house, and which took a few months and maybe a few years off our lives, but it was a phenomenal testament to the trust and love that we have between each other.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that's always been there. I mean, you're 5 years apart, and that could be a world apart between siblings.
Yes.
But watching you guys on the golf course yesterday, it's safe to say you guys are pretty close.
Yeah,
we are. And from the get-go, from when Tim was smaller, I coached his baseball team.
Yeah.
Watched all of his football games, rode the bus from college back to Eugene to watch his football games. We've been really, really close.
Yeah. Taught me the VW thing outside.
Yes.
Yeah, taught me how to drive that.
Yes.
Taught me the wayward ways of being able to be social with liquid imbibement, which might have been an influence of why I got into beer and spirits,
liquor sales.
Right?
Yes.
So, I don't know. That was a big influence on me.
So why did you go into real estate?
Why did I go into real estate? Well, again, you know how I needed help on my house?
Yeah.
Kurt's been bugging me for years to get my license, to be a part of that, and we can create something as a brotherhood. And I'm like, I resisted. And then finally he just said, I need help.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yep. Yeah. So it was 2015, right? You get licensed, right? You now own the Berkshire Hathaway franchise at this point.
Correct. We affiliated from an independent in May of 15.
And for context, again, we mentioned 580 agents in the Valley. You've got 17 agents. Does that include the two of you? Or
Correct.
Is that okay? So 17 agents in this office. By the way, in case you're wondering, there is a dog now walking around. What's up, Vader?
Vader. Hi, buddy.
He's just like, where's my mom? Who are these strange people in this house? All right. So Vader, enjoy the podcast. But one of the things that I think is super important for people to get is I think brand and trust in a marketplace like this matters even more so from my clients in New York City and from Toronto or from Miami or from San Francisco or LA. And for the people that are out there watching that are from those parts of town, just understand, like, there's just so many more people in those towns. When I get off the airport and take the long road right through town, I still see the lie that's up there that says Jackson Hole, welcome to Jackson, 9,200 people, right? I'm like, there really should be a 2 in front of that, I think.
From the 1980 census or something,
right?
1960 maybe, I don't know.
But this is a small town.
Yes.
Trust, relationships, just trust. That's the game. So what do you guys think you've done to establish so much goodwill and trust in the market? I mean, is it because you're a home builder? Because you're still a firefighter? And thank you for the coin, which will, if you're watching the video, we'll talk about this later. Like, how did you guys establish this? If you had to redo it again, what would you do to establish so much trust in the marketplace?
For me, it's connection to community. I mean, I was the chairman of the board of the Jackson Hole Chamber of Commerce, again, with the firefighting, with all these different nonprofits that are in the Valley, being associated with and being a part of. Kurt does a lot of work with Special Olympics and other children's programs. I mean, the connection to community is huge. Like you said, small town.
Yeah.
You can't be a jerk and make it very far in this
Right.
town per se. And so just that connectivity with the people here. I mean, it's the power of place. You look outside and the place is absolutely magnanimous in its beauty.
Yeah.
But what really makes this town hum are the people and the quality of people that are here. It's not easy. It's -27, -30 in the wintertime.
You hear that, Tristan?
You got to be hardy, right?
Yeah.
You got to kind of want it. And so you got to
Yeah.
have a little bit thicker skin. You got to have a little bit more resilience, as it were, to be able to be here. And I think that shows in character.
Yeah. Kurt, what do you think? How do you create, if you had to restart and do it all over again, how do you create so much trust?
Well, I would do it the same way. I think I've been really blessed that I have been able to get to where I am in the industry. and same as I did in construction, same as I do in ski instructing, same as I did in every other aspect of my life. Just treat people fairly, get to know them, build those relationships, get to know what makes them tick at every level, at first-time buyers, at fifth home buyers. Just treat them as you would want to be treated, and be that person and share that with them, the knowledge that you have. Like my construction experience played huge into real estate.
Big time.
That develops a huge amount of trust, is where you're not just looking for the sale, you're looking for the right sale.
Yeah.
You're looking to get the person into the right place and get them the ability to enjoy this community that we love at the same level. It's experiential is what it is. Do
you think that translates to, Iowa City, like, small town USA? Do you think it translates to New York City? Do you think it translates to Munich, Germany? Like, is it the same? I mean, at the end of the day, aren't we really supposed to be like the mayors of our town?
Yes.
Right? The person that can open the doors, who has the contacts, who has the relationships. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, that is exactly what within our job scope is what we should be doing and what we are doing. And whether you're a big city or a small city, it's about that individual. It's about caring for that person's needs. Some people are just transactional, period.
Right.
I want to do 1,000 transactions and I want to get this. Goodbye, see you out, spit you out.
Yep.
The people that we personally have had transactions with have become insanely close friends.
Yeah.
Insanely close friends that we rely upon and that they rely upon us continually. And once the transaction's completed, we're still going to dinner. We're still fixing their, the vent on their dryer. We're doing all kinds of things for them as a friend, not because we're making a buck.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's something to the, and you guys being newer to our ecosystem, the values that you're expressing are what I hear from people every day, and they could be doing 1,000 transactions with a team of 40, but they decided that they were going to be relationship first, not transaction first.
Sure.
Now, and I have a lot of clients that they're very transaction focused and they make a lot of money. So I'm not dogging them, but all I do is I then go back and look at their repeat and referral business. And it is as obvious as this coin in my hand. Like, if you are relationship first, you've got a ton of trust in the marketplace. You do a ton of referrals, and they do everything else for marketing. And the ones that are transaction oriented are just chasing more transactions. And both are right.
Yeah.
Right for the individual. But I think for a small town, like the transaction mindset could really get you in trouble.
Yeah.
So let's talk about marketing, because that's probably actually, I want to back up first. New agent just getting started.
New agent.
Big brother legend, but you're a legend, right? You're like, he's way more. He's got way more charisma, craziness than you do. I'm not taking anything away from you, Kurt, but
he's twice as well.
He's a little chatty.
Yeah.
He's a little chatty. What was it like getting started? What was your first year like?
My first year was really
I like the laugh. I should be asking you this question.
Honestly, Tom, I was, a vice president of a distillery and doing sales and marketing in that regard. So I was a bit of a secret agent. You know, I was coming in and was doing referrals. I would get referrals and hand them off to Kurt and doing that. So coming in and having a mentor, having someone to emulate, having someone in
you can interrupt him anytime, man.
You do it.
This is a podcast. Let's go.
I'm waiting for something good.
But having, like I said, the ultimate trust is brother to brother. Yeah. And having that and the ability to be like, hey, Tim, I need help. Well, I'm going to come in and how was your website when I first started? There wasn't one. How was this? How was that? And there just was nothing. It was just doing real estate in the old way. Yeah. So, the help that he needed, I was happy to provide along with support, whether that be moral or business or whatever. I say that Kurt makes it rain and I plow the fields.
Right.
And that's
a good partnership.
Yeah. And that's kind of where we started at.
Yeah.
And then, once I came out of the closet, so to speak, was to be able to use my community connections, be able to talk to people and make it more of a contact sport and say, hey, you know what, this is what we're doing. My brother and I are starting something really special. Come be a part of it.
So it's interesting. Like I ask a lot of veteran agents, 35, 40 years. Can you remember when you first got started, or someone that's, like what the gal I was just mentioning, who was on my podcast, like 177 transactions in 2.5 years, right? Bethany, like huge shout out to her. I was like, what did you say to everyone you knew in town that you were suddenly a real estate agent? What were you saying?
The first few times you'd almost roll your eyes because it's like, oh, another one.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. They're like, hey, there's fantastic. 580 of you in town. Right.
That's fantastic. But no. And then I started really drinking Kurt's Kool-Aid of culture.
Right.
of, look, we're going to do this differently. It's not going to be wham, bam, later, Sam. It's going to be, these are people that we're going to work with very closely on a very close basis and be able to do right by them and service them appropriately. And it's, you know what? I'll lose a deal before I lose a friend.
Yeah.
Culture.
Yeah. Where'd that come from?
Childhood, probably. My dad, my parents, my mom, they're all about friendships and relationships, and they had no time for people that weren't forthright and honest with them. And they instilled that in us. And they really, it's where you have it. It's something you can learn, but it's really difficult. But if it's ingrained in you from childhood, it makes a huge difference. Just being fair and honest with people is really, it's the baseline for any business model.
Right.
Because, when people say, oh, it's just business, I call BS on that, especially in real estate, because real estate is about people.
Yeah.
It's not about anything other than people. Commercial, different, investment stuff maybe, but in this market where people are trying to get the lifestyle, they're here for different reasons. They want to live here, but it's also about them. It's about their dream. And that's not business. Yeah. That is totally about relationships.
That's totally personal.
Yeah.
It's absolutely personal. So I'm going to go a different direction. Your brother said you didn't have a website in 2015. Now you do know in 2015 websites were available, Kurt.
We had a website. It was just terrible.
Okay. I had a feeling.
I am the least techie person in real estate.
No, I've met people that you have an iPhone. I met a few. I'm like, is that a BlackBerry? Like the Smithsonian called, they want it back.
I meant your personal website.
Yeah. There might not have been one of those.
Okay. So
But I got to say, I understand all the tech stuff, and I
of course,
and it's a really important component to our business.
Yes.
My business has always been based on relationships.
Yes.
I haven't done that much advertising for me personally, because all of my business is word of mouth, much like my construction business. I never had to have an ad for my construction business. It was always word of mouth. We were always busy. We always had projects lined up because of that mantra of it's not just business.
Yeah.
It's about people, and homes are about people, whether you're building them or selling them to people.
Yeah. So I agree with you. And yet you could argue that today with Google, Zillow, Realtor, 500,000 other, sites, and not 500,000, but so many other sites that are out there basically trying to arbitrage the industry. So I'm going to turn to you, both of you guys. Yes. What have you guys done look at 580 agents in the market, 600 transactions, right? And you guys are doing you're at 4% of the market right now, which means you'll probably finish at 8 to 10% of the market. Like that's bonkers, right? So how? What are you guys doing to defend your position online? Because in alcohol sales, you better be good online or you don't exist.
And you need to support it. And right now, I'd say now that we're a part of this phenomenal Tom Ferry ecosystem, and our coach, Mark Prestera.
50% off next month for that automatically.
Perfect. And Mark has really done a great job with me personally.
Yeah.
That's why my business right now is 5X. Kurt's at 1X, maybe 2X on his side. But no, truly.
No competition here.
Being a part of the ecosystem is huge with regards to referrals. And right now, I was talking with Mark the other day. He's like, look, Tim, right now you haven't even hit your 1 year mark. And it's about learning, not earning. Those go great together, and they have, obviously. But we've had amazing network referrals through the ecosystem, and being able to have group calls through your system, which is above and beyond just the elite weekly call. Mark's put together his group. And so we just had a nice talk with them yesterday from the golf course. We were doing a luxury market every third Friday. So you have the connectivity and the ability to grow organically, but also just through connectivity.
Right.
So for me, that's big. Secondly, is following the instructions of doing what you need to do. It's a contact sport.
Right.
Go hit them hard in the different facets that you're showing us how to do.
Yeah. So I know we were chatting about this yesterday, and in my world, that just means I added another channel of revenue, right? So I've got a new network of people. I'm connecting with them. I'm bringing them value, sending them referrals, and they're sending me referrals. It's another pillar of business, right? Just smart business.
Yeah.
Talk about some of the blocking and tackling. I want for both you guys, and no BS, right? Because I saw how you guys operated yesterday. It's very fun. It's very lively, but I know you guys work your faces off too. So what's a typical day look like for you? And then what's a typical day like for you? Typical day in real estate.
Typical day in real estate. Well, I was going to say I walk my dog. I shot you a beautiful picture.
There's a beautiful
of around
photo.
the
Yes.
pond, right?
Yes.
So I usually start my day off waking up around 5 or 6 and just get my mental attitude ready.
Yeah.
Gratitude, being able to walk around with my dog and get the mind right. You know, maybe not after a lot of sleep. Maybe there is some sleep, but and then be able to get into the office and start running the MLS, looking at the hot sheet, doing things that I want to be able to do. And then I have a 9 to 10 a.m. kind of a prospecting. And maybe it's not prospecting per se, but it's just connecting with people that I need to connect with.
That's prospecting.
And that's prospecting.
Right.
I know, but
you know what I like to call it? I call it appointment setting time.
Oh, appointment setting time.
Right? Like, I'm not prospecting. Prospecting's what dirty old guys near rivers did to like try and find gold. You know where the gold
It
is.
almost sounds like a teacher say it's Thomas.
It's appointment setting time.
It's appointment setting time for you.
Is that after nap time?
You were hoping for some of that yesterday.
Yes. So 9 to 10, you're on the phones, texting, emailing, whatever it is.
Yes.
Right? Do you do all of that, or am I?
I'm trying to do it all, man, but it's drinking from a fire hose right now with all the things that are out there that are coming at us. So, do this, do X, Y, Z. Again, trying to run plays at work is really what I'm going at. And mine is my social and my business network that I'm really trying to dig deep into.
So up early, get your mindset right. It's music to my ears anytime I hear great people say, because let me restate this. Every great agent says the same thing. Right. I get in, I check the daily hot sheets.
Sure.
I have to know what the market is doing. So I'm prepared to go talk to people when they say, the market, what's going on? Right? You have to give them real-time data. So you do that, then you get on the phone for an hour, and then what happens?
Then for me, it's
appointments or whatever?
Appointments, taking care of clients, doing showings, being more knowledgeable on Wednesdays. There's always open houses. So familiarizing myself with the market on Wednesdays, just hustling. Just hustling and getting things done that need to get done. And there's always something. And if I have nothing to do, then, there's something wrong. Second is I'll go back to my database and I will just start going, okay, what am I missing? Where am I going? Kurt doesn't I have a wall of shame in my office, and it's deals, a wall of shame. And it's deals that really should have been in our pocket, that whether it was because we lost contact.
This is really good.
Or because we weren't top of mind, or whatever the reason. And people make their own decisions. They all know 400 agents. I get it.
Yeah.
But my wall of shame that's the wall that hurts. There's names on there that are close to me.
Yeah.
That I'm not going to let happen again.
See, we could stop the podcast right there and go, it's mic drop. Like that's it. Like everyone should have a wall of shame. Like every deal that you missed.
There's a wall of fame.
You gotta have the positive too. You gotta have the positive.
I can see the yin and yang here.
I'm not a big fan of the wall of shame. Maybe it hurts too much, or maybe I realized I might have dropped the ball on some of those.
Could be.
There, I like positive reinforcement. I like the dangling carrot instead of the big stick.
But everybody gets motivated by something, right? So Kurt, what about you? Typical day in the life?
Well, it depends whether it's summertime or school year time, because my wife's a really amazing first grade teacher. Yeah. So in the mornings when she's in school, I wake the boys up. I got 2 boys, 11 and 13, Max and Beckett. I don't know if you'll ever watch this, but get them up, get them dressed, get them fed, get their lunches made, get them in the car so that mom can jump in the car and they can all go to school. And then I head into the office, which is about 7:30, 8 o'clock. Yeah. That's my time when I get my mind right. I look at the stuff for the brokerage. Yeah. I'm not as diligent about prospecting as Tim. Mm-hmm. I'm more brokerage management stuff, dealing with all that, making sure my agents have all their questions answered, going through my email list, sorting through what's, setting up my list of most important to-dos that day, hoping I can get through the top third of it. That kind of deal. And then a lot of answering agent questions, helping on contracts, making sure everything's going, checking advertising, whether it's print or social media or whatever it is. And my day gets rolling. And then because of my construction experience, twice a week, I get a call from a homeowner that wants advice on how to do this, how to do that. What happens when this light goes on? Where do you go there?
Right.
Continuing after the transaction, helping out clients is a big part of my work week. Yep. It does gobble up some time, but it's a pretty insignificant amount of time because I've gotten really good at delegating that to subs I used to use. Yep. Call them up. They answer my calls. Even though everyone's slammed and contractors are years out right now, they help out because of those relationships. Again, back to the relationship.
Do you really do all that on a daily basis?
Yeah. I know it looks like I'm just sitting in my office, but there's stuff going on.
When you're broker, manager, owner, it's a very, I mean, like, and I appreciate it. I was going to say to you, like, it's a totally different deal, right? Sales agent, relationships, go hunt, go find deals, go on appointments. I'm curious for the two of you guys. Do you guys ever go on listing presentations together?
We have.
How does it work?
It works really well because we feed off each other. Kurt's got the construction background. I got the sales and marketing background. And so it really works well because having both of us on both ends of the bookends really gives us a dynamic, forward-looking project, or at least what prospecting for those particular clients.
Yeah.
And I really like potential clients to get a feel for both of us because we both work every single transaction as a team.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if they don't get me, they're going to get Tim. If they have a question that I can't answer, they go to Tim. It's a matter of, I mean, we're kind of two brothers sharing one brain.
Yeah, you could say we share a brain.
Almost a full brain.
Almost.
But it's a package, right?
Yeah.
So when we do a listing presentation, they need to understand both of us. We have different idiosyncrasies.
Right.
I like to text. He likes to email.
Yeah.
And so there's different ways to get a hold of us. If one person can't answer a question, the other one can.
We're starting to get into video, Tom.
That's on my. We're going to talk marketing, people. It's coming.
Right, it's coming.
But let me ask you guys this. Like, I know this is something you guys rarely hear, and none of my high-end clients ever hear it. I want the highest possible amount for the sale of my home. Whatever number you have, I want more. What are you guys doing today to how are you listing houses? How are you trying to price houses, I should say, today in this market? It's nuts.
It is nuts. And because appraisals are lagging so far behind the market, the velocity of the market is so unbelievable right now. It makes it really tough. But there's people putting their houses on the market for their walkaway number. Yeah. Maybe they've sped their retire. They've been here 20 years.
Right.
They were going to retire in 10. They're going to retire now because they can cash out for more money than they ever thought possible for their home here in Teton County. And it's just accelerating their next phase of their life, which is awesome. I mean, the downside is we're losing a lot of important infrastructure workforce.
Yeah.
But hopefully that void can be filled. But it is amazing at the velocity of the market.
Yeah.
But pricing is,
and like you said, you dangle the carrot, and that's what's happening in the market right now. The carrot's getting dangled, and you think, no, there's no way someone can jump that high and get a bite of that thing.
Right.
And it gets bitten and taken until the next
multiple
carrot comes
bites from multiple
bit
buyers.
higher.
Right.
And so the market is actually training a lot of the consumers that too high might not be too high anymore. So it is a challenge. We want to be reasonable. And there are the three theories. Stick it out there to where you're not going to be able to get any buyers. Get it at market price and get a few people, or get it at or under that market rate so you can then get multiple offers. And
speaking my love language there. That's it.
But it's hard not to get multiple offers these days unless you are outrageously priced.
Well, and not even outrageously. There's some things on the market that have some nuances to them. Like a lot of people don't want to do a big remodel or do a scrape or deal with construction. And I understand it. They want turnkey.
Yep.
And there are some places on the market, I think, that have been on the market for more than 3 or 4 months that need that special buyer with vision or with thought, or is willing to take on that brain damage of doing a full remodel or something like that.
I looked at a property last summer over in John Dodge, and it was like, let's just call it X $1 million. And I'm like, well, the land is awesome. And I'm like, I walked through the house and I was like, what would it cost to destroy this thing and start over? And then it's like, I mean, but to your point, I was talking to Maxine and Marty Gallants, who you guys know really well from La Jolla. Josh Rubin, one of my great clients in New York City, says the same thing. He's all, high rise, Manhattan, killing it. And they both on 2 different coasts said the same exact thing when I said, what sells and what doesn't? And they're like, newer than 4 years, turnkey, easy, and beautiful.
Yes.
Everything else, it's going to sell, but it's going to sell not for that crazy price.
Right.
Are you guys seeing the same thing?
Yep.
Or is it different because the value of land here is so different?
There is that difference, but that is what I see selling now is stuff that people can walk into and plunk down a chunk of change and have what they want.
Right. And be moving in. So but what do you say then to the seller that says, well, look, I mean, like the house we're in right now I said, guys, I've got this great piece of property. I don't own this house. It's just renting this house. But I'm like, this great piece of property. I would like to own this house. Just saying. Do you guys know any good agents in Jacksonville?
I know a couple.
But the house is like, it's bizarre, right? So like I couldn't imagine.
You won't be renting this house next year, Tom.
No, I will not be renting this house. Oh, okay. I think that was an implied relationship-based sales process there. Yeah. But like, what do you say to that seller who's like, but look, guys, the market's bonkers. I've got this unbelievable piece of property. Yeah, the house is a little bit old, but like I need my walk away price.
Yeah.
What do you guys say to that person?
Two things: what the market shows. Like I'm the numbers guy, right? So I'll go through where we're at with the market, what's out there active, what has sold in the last 3 months, 6 months. Although it's so quick now, it's like every 2 months. Yeah. I'm just kind of revamping those numbers to give us some basis, a foundation of knowledge that you can actually show to them and say, hey, here's where we're at. Granted, things are moving up still, so maybe we can have a trajectory of add 5%, 10%, something like that. So that's where I come at it from. Kurt comes at it from a more, I get it. You love your house and you've had so many experiences here, and there's a value to that.
Yeah.
However, these are the numbers.
But I also explained to them there's a very, very small demographic that will share that vision and share that love and have that same emotional attachment to it. But it's also, I mean, the trajectory will meet as the market rises, and if this price stays, it'll cross somewhere. Is that in 2 months or is that in 2 years? I don't know. These are also people in those. We've got a couple clients like that. They don't have to move.
Right.
They love being here.
Yeah.
There's no benefit to them to sell at a lower number. So until that unicorn comes along that shares that same vision, and as long as they're okay with that and they don't mind that, I don't need to make I don't need to accelerate the timeline on the transaction if they don't need to.
Right.
If they need to be at a job in San Francisco in next month, then we do price adjustments.
Yes.
If they don't, and that's what they want, and I know this may not be a traditional thinking, but these are people that have been in the Valley for 20 or 30 years.
Right.
They love it here. They're very comfortable staying. They don't need to sell and go somewhere. This is for them, their next phase of moving on to something.
Yeah.
I want to help them facilitate that without them not getting that next step in, with only half stepping. Yeah. That doesn't work for them, so that doesn't work for me.
Yeah. It's interesting when you think about that. By the way, the guy at the very first house on the right, as you pull into this street, we met him a couple of days ago. He's 78 years old. He's like, I used to say I'm going to die in this house, but if someone gave me X and let me live here until I die, I'd sell it today for Y.
Yeah.
And I was like,
you're in the reverse mortgage business.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Exactly. And you notice I did not say the address, but you guys know the exact house I'm talking about.
I do.
Right? But that's an example of like when you're if someone's listening to this right now and their average sales price is $400,000.
Right.
There is, like, when people say, is there a difference between like everyday, homes for sale in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and 5 million, 10 million second home? The answer is absolutely yes. Humans are humans, but the way people look at properties like this, I believe fundamentally are different. Right? Is that safe to say? Like, he's going to want that experience.
Yeah.
And there's probably a buyer that would buy that house just to say, great, over the next 10 years, 20 years, 30, whatever, it's going to appreciate in value anyway. Like, not a bad deal. Let's talk about marketing.
Okay.
You guys made a statement. You said it yesterday and it really caught my eye. Like, walk away price, or am I saying that the right way? Like, what's your walk away number?
What's your walk away number?
Do you guys use that in your marketing, or do you save that like when you're just talking to people?
So as our listings, as we're getting to a price, and we explain the different reasons for that, like Tim explained, above market, at market, below market, whatever you're looking for. There's all of those. People have a number in their mind. We also then point out if their house is it a 10 or is it a 1?
Yeah.
A 10's brand new construction, everything great. 1, there might be some homeless people and stray dogs living in it. So where do you rank your house on that? Well, most people rank it on the high end.
Of course.
You go through and you do that whole, well, does it need paint? Does it need okay, maybe it's not an 8, maybe it's really a 7.
Yeah.
And get them to realize that their view of their property may not be the market's view of their property.
Right.
But that's where the pricing comes. So we do use it in our listing presentations when we get a seller that really doesn't have a grasp on the market.
Yeah.
A walkaway number. Yeah. And if everyone's okay with it, that's fine.
So I wouldn't say that'd be print marketing. That'd be just more of marketing, VIV to say that's what we're doing.
I would argue against that. I'm on this kick right now of there is so much noise in the market, especially for you guys, 580 agents, 600 transactions.
Yes.
There's a lot of noise. And I think a lot of people get lost in the sea of sameness, right? Like the metaphor I always get is that you haven't been to the grocery store in a while and your wife's like, go get a bag of chips. And you're like, you don't eat chips. And you're walking down the grocery store aisle and how many bags of chips do you see?
Yeah.
Five, stories of just layers and layers of, this one and that one. Like, how do you pick, right?
Put an agent's face on each of those bags.
Thank you very much. So I'm of the opinion, he said it, not me, but yes, Timmy, you got it. But like, my argument is, I think we need to be a little more outlandish is not the word, but that's what's like outspoken about, like, what is on the minds of consumers? What is your walk away number? Right.
Yeah.
Like, how about like one of my clients is now running ads, and a whole bunch of people are now doing this, is want a crazy offer on your house? Like, that's the headline, not, just sold. Look, I did it again. Why you should sell now, market updates. I think all that stuff is almost like automatic and needs to be done. But like that, want a crazy offer on your house? Who wouldn't say yes to that?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I would respond with like, well, how crazy is crazy?
Yep.
I just built my house and I love it, but crazy, right?
Is crazy.
Like, but what do you guys think when I say that? Like, do you think that works in a small town? I'm giving you an out, though I don't think I should.
Well, I think it would work for some people.
Yeah.
I think it would generate some listings for the agents. I'm just wondering what the backlash on it would be.
Yeah.
Are we adding to the exiting of the workforce from this environment, which is a huge deal here in Teton County?
Yeah.
That's a huge deal. And it's near and dear to both of our hearts because
Right.
a lot of our friends can no longer afford to live here.
Yeah.
Whether it's rent increases,
Right.
whether it's not being able to buy a single family home, whether it's not being able to find a place to rent.
Right.
It's getting really, really difficult for the workforce housing. And that for us is really tough.
And in that, non-owner occupieds, right? So you have these renters. One of our really close friends, 17 years renting. We told him not to look at those numbers, but 17 years renting, and now he's being forced out and needs to find and it's sad because he's a very integral part of the community.
And he's upper level workforce. He's management in food service. He's got a family. He's got a second kid on the way. It's heart wrenching.
Yeah.
So there are some issues that as a community we need to do. And that would be my only concern. I think it's wildly creative and I think it would generate a lot of conversation.
Yeah.
And I think it would generate some listings for our business. I'm just a little concerned. It's already, real estate agents get blamed for everything.
Yeah.
No matter what it is.
Yeah.
Mainly the price of real estate, which we really don't have anything to do with. It's the market that drives that. It's the buyers.
Yeah.
It's the demand, certainly for this specific area. But we get blamed for it. So I think the backlash in a small community might outweigh the listings.
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, I'm really glad you brought that up because you say like it's accelerated. I was hearing that 12 years ago when I started coming to the Valley. Like people are like, where do you live? They're like, over the hill.
Yes.
Like they got to go to Idaho to find decent housing and then drive an hour back and forth every day. And now there's traffic in town.
Weird, right?
What the heck is going on? I mean, like,
bumper to, not just traffic.
No, I'm
bumper to bumper.
Context people. Like, leave town square at 5:30 4 years ago. You're here in like 10 minutes, right? Leave now and you're like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Like that's traffic. That's kind of nuts.
I did get an e-bike for that reason to go from Wilson to town, right?
That's
taking the bike paths, and it is
super
kind of
smart.
It is satisfying to be going by cars while you're on your. But I did that down in LA and San Francisco too on my motorcycle.
Right.
So
context.
But it's also changing. The infrastructure of Jackson in particular is changing. We've got 5 cranes in town building.
Right.
We're going up instead of going out because we can't go out.
Yeah.
Only 3% of the land is even developable.
Yeah.
In Teton County. So it's a matter of, that's another difficult thing in a small community is change.
Yeah.
Change is really, really difficult. And the infrastructure needs to be upgraded. Do we add another lane? Do we add another 2 lanes? Do we add more stop? That can be really tough for people that have been here 20, 30, 40 years.
For sure. For sure. Or all
And
their
keeping
lives
that
or,
same-
families, decades,
Keeping
right?
that same small town feel. Everyone thinks it's going to disappear. I don't think so. I think the people that want to be in Jackson, in the outlying areas, they're hardier. It is cold here. It's not easy to get to.
Yeah.
You might have to shovel your own walkway.
Yeah.
There's not service people to do all of those things that you might have at major metro areas. You just have to be a little tougher. You got to put a hat on. You got to put gloves on. You got to remember to have an extra coat in the car if it gets wind. Just little things like that.
Yeah.
It's a hardier community, and the people that want to be here, and I think it's up to us, those of us that are here already, is to educate the new people that are coming in.
Yeah.
Educate them that it's kind of a chop wood, carry water community.
Right.
And it has to be because of the harsh elements.
Yeah.
And get involved in the community.
Chop
as well.
wood.
Okay, so everyone listening right now, like it's weak. If we would have started with that, we should we've literally, so I'm not editing a podcast, but like that right there, that moment, like that's on Instagram, like for sure. Cause like, that's it. If you don't get that, you don't get this place.
Right.
Okay. So let's talk about what does work. We'll kind of wrap with this question. What does work in terms of marketing? What are you guys trying? What has worked? What has not worked? Do you email people like an email newsletter? Do you do direct mail? There's no billboards in town, right? Like that would be silly, but your office sits in a very premium spot. I bet there's a lot of walk-in traffic. Right? So what does work in marketing that you would share with everybody else listening?
Most of the people that want to be here for the lifestyle. Right. We don't really need, for the area, anyone that walks in our door or that inquires pretty much knows the area. There's not many people that done online research and that's the great thing about being online is they've done 99% of their research. They're laser focused on what they want and what's available. It makes it really easy to then bring the personal aspect in, show them the different communities. They may not have a geographical understanding of the valley. Let them understand the difference between town and Teton Village and the West Bank and north of town and just those little nuances. And go from there. And it's really, I think the lifestyle is what people want to be here for, whether, whatever they're into, there's something that's drawn them here.
Sure.
And so that, for me, it makes it really easy to just communicate with them and find out what their needs are and then funnel them into what works for them.
So I would argue, not against you, but I would argue that like the sales funnel, the life, like, how do I say this best? Like the time it takes from there. Hey, I just stayed at the Four Seasons. I really like this place. Honey, let's go look at a house. Let's go call a real estate agent. Hey, we saw that Berkshire Hathaway. Let's go walk it. We just had a, fish sandwich down the street. Hey, what's up, guys? So we're thinking about how many years before they actually buy a house. Forget the last 16 months because COVID, 15 months, it accelerated everything.
It can be anywhere from 2 months.
Yeah.
I've had people walk in the door and close a transaction within 2 months because they had the ability to do that and they knew what they wanted, to 5 years.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, 16 months ago, the people that had been looking for those 2 or 3 years either jumped immediately or got left in the dust because they were looking at $1.5 million, $2 million properties, and those for what they needed are now
3, 5.
And that's
not that I know this from personal experience,
but we've seen that a lot with our recent clients is that it's not just someone coming in. Oh, I just stayed at the Four Seasons and here I need property. There is that. Trust me, there is. But 4 of our recent sales have been people that have either lived here, been here a certain amount of time, they moved away from the valley and they went and did something else in life and they realized, I got to get back there. This is a place I need to be where my kids need to grow up or once my kids are gone, where I need to be. And so we've had a number of clients that have recently come back to the valley, even in this, crazy pricing. That's how valuable it is for them to be able to have lifestyle.
They've wrapped their head around, we could have got it for $1 million or $2 million different, 2 years ago, and we didn't pull the trigger and we're paying the price now, but we're doing it because we don't see it backsliding.
Exactly. So back on marketing, like you guys got a database of customers, right? Do you send regular emails if I was on your list? I'm not even going to talk to you. I'm going to talk to this guy over here really fast. Timmy, like what actually, like in the valley, like if you sell a property, do you send out a just sold card? Do you guys finish the year and say, we were able to successfully help 16 people buy and sell in 2020 during a pandemic? Do you do any of that stuff or does it matter? Or is it on your roadmap? Like
it's on the roadmap for sure.
Newer client, right? So I'm going like old school Tom Ferry stuff and Kurt's looking at me like, what the hell are you talking about? Right? Like
we're very irregular just in general.
I knew that when we started the interview.
With regards to marketing, no, it's very irregular, very sporadic. But again, with being within the ecosystem, now we're on like step 2 of the 10-step process of being able to manage our clientele. What was a funnel? I didn't know what that was a few years ago, and now I do, and I understand where people belong in the funnel. And now even I'm doing an onboarding call later today to be able to get marketing and have some of these things automated.
Right.
So we are on that. Do we have a regular marketing? No, not at all. But we are in the process of doing that. And so I challenge you, to be here next year, do the same thing and see where we're at a year from now.
Done.
It's going to be a different scene because this market's changing so fast and things are moving at such a rapid pace. And we certainly need to get our wheels moving and get into second and third gear to be able to captivate that.
Well, I get, first of all, I'm just saying, I guarantee if Mark was here, he would say they've done Mark this and this, and big shout out to their coach, Mark, this and this and this and this. And it's what we always miss. Like, my stepmom, who was here with me for a couple of days, right? So she's been like a hero of my like entire life since I met her at 6.
Right.
And she would say, everything worthwhile takes a decade. Like if you're building a business, right? If you're creating relationship, like it's like the power of a decade. She just instilled that in my head. So I think starting in September of last year, in the middle of a pandemic, and how much you guys have grown, and the way you describe it, like, hey, we're like step 1 or 2, right? I would be super proud, right? If I were you guys, and I hope you are, because over the next decade, what could be is just bonkers. It'll just come down to your ambition and desire. Yep. But I have a feeling for you, it's more about the community. What are you going to do to help the community?
For me, it is. And and that's funny you mentioned that. We task our clients with that, especially people that have moved from out of market that haven't been here for a while. Tim is great at it. He's like, okay, now you got your property here. Which nonprofits are you going to volunteer for? What are you going to do to help the community out? Are you going to be on a board for workforce housing? Are you going to go pull fences? What are you going to do to give back to the community that you're plug and play into? This is up and running.
Yeah.
It's already got everything that you want here, whether it's lifestyle, outdoor adventure, whatever it is. What are you going to do to give back to the community? And he plants the seed in a way that seed bursts open and grows. And it really does have an impact. And it makes a difference because then it's front of mind for the buyers that are new to the area, that they have a responsibility to give back to the community. And it is a small town. And
there's a great organization called the Community Foundation, and they organize all the nonprofits. And what they do is they're a holding house for where matching donors come in.
Right.
And so you have the ability to use this system to be able to distribute monies to all these different nonprofits. So they have an onboarding welcome to Jackson Hole. So if anybody's interested, I can give you that information. But onboarding to the community, hey, here's not only what to do, but how to be a good citizen and how you can contribute.
I love that.
Right.
I mean, I one could argue, like, I think of so many of my clients, I mentioned like these big mega teams that are 300, 500, 1,000 transactions, but they're in Phoenix, Arizona, and Phoenix is a community. Right. And then they're in like, this little part of Phoenix, Arizona. Right. And that little subset, maybe with 2 or 3 schools, an elementary and a junior high and a high school, like that is a community. And that same thing could absolutely apply. You guys think?
Yes. You create your community wherever you are, whether it's in a big city or a small town. A small town just doesn't have all the peripheral stuff going on outside of the community you create. In a small town, it's a little different because you can't just jump to the next community.
No.
That's the community that you're in. And there's only one place where there's this.
Yeah.
Right. You can't just jump somewhere else and recreate what's happening here.
No.
So you need to foster that and you need to nurture it in a different way than in a large metro community.
So what's the future for you guys? What's the business going to look like in the next 2 years, 3 years?
Personally, I want to increase our referrals to be over 50% of what we do. I want to be able to bring on a team and create like a SEAL team, be able to bring on a couple more transactional managers, administrator, things like that. I want to be able to use our best use of time by bringing in business and allowing others to be able to do it. Because right now I'm going to segue a little bit into the whole fire department thing. And with and everything. I mean, with the fire department, there's certain things. There's kind of 3 key things. You have an incident commander. You have span of control of what you can actually do, and then solving problems, right? So the incident commander has 5, 6 different silos, whether that's, the command or the medic or these different silos that you're in charge of, right? That's where we need to be. We need to be that incident commander within our team. But each individual only has so much span of control.
Right.
Effectively with fire, you can do 3 things, 5 if you're really good, and 7 you're just underwater, right? So you can only have a certain span of control of what you can be in control of at any given time. So we're at that point where we need to be able to expand our span of control.
Right.
And then the third pillar on that is, we go to other people's problems, and so problem solving within the real estate community is paramount. But in the fire department, that's what we do. We show up on someone's possibly the worst day of their life.
Yeah.
And so you're there to try to help them out. So that with regards to real estate, we're looking at, you've got a problem. This is a major investment that you're doing. And if there's a problem in transaction, we're there to take care of it. But I mean, I carry this every day in my pocket. And you got one, there's 3 words on it: service, courage, and dedication. We could do a whole podcast on that.
Right.
in and of itself. We're here to be of service. You have to have courage to do things that other people aren't willing to do. And it takes dedication.
Right.
Those 3 things.
Right. I'm telling you guys, remember I said to you, I don't really have an agenda. I just want to have a conversation. And they're like, what are you going to ask? And I actually did write down a couple. I got to maybe 3 of the things that I wrote down, like the introduction and 2 questions. But this is exactly, this is what makes the 2 of you guys so special, right? Like the sort of metaphorical example of running your business like the fire department runs it, right? I mean, all of that, if we just took that section and just said, every team leader, listen to this, right? And then your thoughts on community and connection and being a part of this thing. Again, I don't blame anybody that does a lot of transactions who's just transactionally oriented. But I know our ecosystem, and you guys, as you guys get to know more and more, Maxine and Marty Gallons will sell a lot of houses this year. Right?
Did I say love them? I think I said love them.
For sure. Right. Okay. My coaching clients have 21 years, right? They're bonkers.
They want to emulate them.
And they care so much about La Jolla, the ranch, Del Mar. They're in the community. And I think back, if I was a brand new agent, I was listening to this right now, I would just ask myself, how am I going to cement myself in this community? Not so I do more business, simply because it's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing.
Right? You got to be the mayor of your town. Yep. You got to be the mayor of your town. So,
and we are.
Yeah.
Tim McCord Harland, brothers helping others.
Brothers helping others. There's some marketing for you, ladies and gentlemen.
That's our new rollout.
If I see that on a billboard, I'll punch both of you guys.
Oh God.
Because that means there's a billboard in town. Yeah. And I will punch both of you guys.
If you listen to the radio, it's on there.
So you guys do radio.
We do radio. We do print. I mean,
come on. I said marketing, and you guys nah. Oh, we do radio.
We've got a couple publications that we are really, and we've been really, really loyal with them.
Yeah.
I mean, they've helped us grow our business, and we're dedicated to helping them. The local newspaper,
of course,
is really, really important in this town.
Yep.
The Jackson Hole News and Guide, has been great for us, and so we advertise in that. A couple periodical publications,
regional mags,
and radio. Because the people listen to the radio here to get the news, to see what's going on. It's, there's a lot of, everyone's listening to other, satellite stuff too, but the local radio gets a lot of play. And not that because it's the right thing to do. I think it's important to have a local radio station and a local newspaper. Those feed into the community.
So a lot of our clients are doing their own radio shows now, right? Is that something you guys ever thought about?
Yep.
It's like a podcast for me or a video on Facebook for you guys. It's just an extension of that. When I said it, that was a very nervous look you got there.
Coach Mark tell you the same.
Oh, really?
Oh God.
So,
like minds, baby. Like minds.
Yes. I mean, we've talked to the program director locally to do a spot on local radio, but I mean that we could do branch out in other things. And really, through the last few years, for me, spending time with my family is really important.
Yeah.
And you can get distracted by all of these other things in front of you, all of these shiny things that are happening, whether it's, technology or transactions or growing your business. But really the most important thing is your family.
There you go. And I mean, we're lucky and fortunate. I mean, both have awesome wives, Patrice and Alia. We have 2 incredible kids.
Yeah.
And 2 big fluffy dogs. And so we're really lucky that way. But I think, how you define luck, how do you define fortune? It's creating a situation to where, there's a set of circumstances that something awesome or unexpected can happen.
Right.
So you can create your own luck. And in doing so, I think being a servant to the community, being involved in such great things that this place has to offer, you can create your own luck.
Yeah.
And that's what you try to do, is create that set of circumstances that allows for greatness or the unexpected.
If you go back to the very first thing I asked you guys is, how do you create brand and trust in your marketplace? And I think we could have just that was really the only question. Everything else was just like a little, really a little inlet from the river or whatever, a little fork. You guys have done it. I'm really proud of you guys.
Yeah. No, we're stoked to be here with you. And yesterday was a blast.
Yeah.
And you're here for a couple more weeks. Hopefully we have some more great times.
Absolutely.
We'll show you a little bit of the underbelly of the valley.
I would love that.
Right?
I would love that. Tristan, jealous. Hashtag
You're
jealous.
coming with. Oh wait,
he's got to fly back and buy a new house.
I gotta say though, the first thing when Tristan came into town, he said he took a left at the airport and immediately stopped and started photography, and then he went out to Jenny Lake or something. And so it kind of grabs you right off the bat, right? right off the bat.
So his wife's staff was like, "You're not going to the park until you take me there. Do not go." Because I was like, "Go to just go to the lower loop," and he was like, "No, I
He
can't."
just turned left.
Right.
He didn't go to the park. He didn't go. He
took the back route to get here, which I was like, "Dude, you took like the moose route. Like that's a local deal. That's good." I know.
Deal.
Edit that.
But that's again the power of place, and if you can combine the power of place with power of people and care and service, that put it all together.
Yeah. Dedication, courage, service.
Dedication, courage, and service.
I love it. All right. Well, guys, hey, this has been a super fun podcast. If they want to find you guys, obviously they can Google Berkshire Hathaway, Jackson Properties.
HarlandBrothersRealEstate.com.
Okay, HarlandBrothersRealEstate.com at 2015, baby.
Brothers helping others.
Brothers helping others. All right. We're out. Thank you guys so much. Hope you have an awesome day. Share this with a friend if it makes sense. And obviously, always a comment, review. Any of that stuff is always helpful. All right. We're out.